those of you who are new to New Blue, I want to start just by saying a couple of little things about who we are and how the party started. It was formed in 2020. They officially became a party in 2021, and we ran our first election in 2022. We were one of only, I believe, 3 parties that had a full 124 candidates on the ballot. And this time around, we've managed to get 108 in a snap election. So, you know, great job to everybody that did that. We were out tirelessly getting signatures across the province helping our candidates. So, and so how it started, Jim and Belinda, basically Jim was running in federal politics for a long time. He was the president of the PC party, the CPCs, and he tried to run for leader. Everything was going well. Essentially there was fraud within the system. There was more ballots than there were voters internally at the federal level. So he started to fight back. He took them to court. It's still at court today. So one of the things that's part of why New Blue is standing up for accountability in our political systems, especially internally in the parties. And then from there was a lot that happened, but then Belinda was MPP for Doug Ford. And she was voting for her constituents. She was standing up against the safe injection sites, which are not so safe. And, you know, defending the people of Cambridge. And Doug Ford kicked her out for it. So she was the only MPP that voted against critical race theory, and many other things like that. So when that happened, they formed New Blue. And that's why we're here today. And I wish that they had been able to make it. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're going to. I never heard one way or the other. I think they were trying. So. But you know what? They are amazing people. I have a lot of respect for them, and I know that if they could have been here, they would have been. But that's why we're all here today, and we stand behind them, and we stand behind the values that they bring to the table, and we are the only grassroots party that exists in Canadian politics. We come together. Just this past June, we came together and we brought policies forward from all of our members. If you want to become a member, you can be a part of the next policy conference. And so we voted on all the policies that were submitted by our members, and that became our policy declaration, which you can find on the website at newblueontario.com. So we're the only party in existence that does it that way. So you get to be a part of forming who we are and what we stand for. And I just wanted to briefly go over 3 things that are the most important to me because of my riding. I don't think that I have anybody here from Flamborough-Glanbrook today. But basically, the 3 things that I stand for. For anybody who knows about minister zoning orders, the MZOs, if you're not familiar, you can go check it out. Basically, the Ontario government can step in and they can rezone without having to go through the channels that they normally have to go through. So instead of having like different hearings and having to post for a certain amount of time and having to get feedback from the community, they can go in and say, no, we're going to build because of an emergency, which sounds familiar, right? We've been doing a lot of that the last few years. So Doug Ford has taken advantage of these. There used to be about 3 or 4 over a span of 5 years. Now we've got about 18 happening every year. And it's typically over farmland and our green belt. So that is something that I plan to push back against because we only have 3.2% of our land in Ontario that is farmable for crops and a little over 4% that is good for pastures for animals. So that's not very much in the grand scheme of things. So building up on that land is not a responsible way to deal with needing growth, which we do need growth, but we need to do it thoughtfully and responsibly. So that's the first thing. The other thing is the wind turbines. I don't know if anybody's familiar, but there has been a lot of complaints from people that live near the wind turbines, nausea, headaches, sleep disturbances, cognitive and psychological impairments. And In 2016, the Minister of the Environment actually canceled the building of these wind turbines. He stopped them in their tracks, and it was overruled by the courts. So a lot of people moved away, and they got away from the wind turbines, and really in the grand scheme of things, they aren't producing that much energy because the wind has to be blowing, and they only have a 25-year lifespan or so, and most of them are not, like most of the parts are not recyclable, so they end up in a landfill. So there's many issues with those. There shouldn't be any more put up, and along with the death of wildlife that fly into them and cause issues in many ways. There's a lot of research out there, so I'm learning more as I go, but that's what I know so far. And so that's something I'm fighting for. And then also we need to bring back all of the doctors and nurses, healthcare professionals, and other people that were fired because of the mandates. So I believe that bringing back those healthcare professionals, by the way, I mentioned it in an article. I got an interview with Flamborough today, which is the newspaper out there, and they did actually post, they said what I wanted to do, which I was really surprised, but then they tried to like backtrack and justify what they said, and they ended up giving me a fact that now I can use, so thank you very much, Flamborough, today. Apparently, there was 118,000 healthcare workers that were fired because they didn't get the vaccine. So thank you for sharing that with me, and I'm going to be using that from now on, so I'm glad to be a little bit more informed than I was before, because before they wouldn't tell us anything. So, and we all know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission. So that is kind of my objectives for my riding, and I believe that that's going to help with not only the backlog in our systems for scans and surgeries, but it's also going to help with family doctors. And we need to do that before we start bringing in doctors from other countries and bringing them in to work here, and also before we start spending money to train other people. If they want to go and get trained, they can pay for it themselves, but we need to hire back those people first. So, thank you very much.